Have you ever seen someone laugh at something they do not understand? Today, you will hear a story that will surprise you. This is the story of an American soldier who laughed at President Ibrahim Traoré's uniform. What happened next will shock you and teach you a lesson you will never forget. The sun was hot in Burkina Faso, the sky was blue, and the ground was dry. American soldiers stood in a line. Their uniforms were clean and full of medals. They looked proud and strong. Sergeant Michael Carter was one of them. He always made sure his boots were shiny and his shirt was perfect. He believed a uniform showed power and respect. The Burkinabé soldiers stood nearby. Their uniforms were simple. They wore camouflage shirts and pants. Some wore red berets. They did not have many medals, but they stood tall, with pride in their eyes. The American soldiers looked at them and whispered to each other. Some thought the uniforms looked too plain. Carter thought so too, but he did not say anything. Suddenly, cars arrived. Everyone turned to look. President Ibrahim Traoré stepped out. He was young and strong. He wore the same uniform as his soldiers, a simple camouflage shirt, pants, and a red beret. There were no medals, no gold, nothing fancy. He walked with confidence, shaking hands with his soldiers and smiling at them. When President Traoré reached the American soldiers, he greeted them warmly. He shook hands with each one, looking them in the eye. When he reached Sergeant Carter, Carter could not hide his surprise. He looked at the president's uniform and then at his own. He leaned over to his friend and whispered, "Is that really the president? He looks just like any other soldier." Carter let out a small laugh. It was not loud, but it was enough for people nearby to hear. President Traoré stopped and looked at Carter. His eyes were calm, but there was strength in them. "Is something funny, Sergeant?" he asked in a gentle voice. Carter felt embarrassed. He tried to explain. "No, sir, I just did not expect the president to dress like this. In my country, our leaders wear suits and medals." The president smiled, but his eyes were serious. "You find my uniform strange, Sergeant? Let me show you something," he said. President Traoré did not get angry. He did not shout. Instead, he invited Carter to walk with him. As they walked, the president spoke softly. "In my country, a leader is not above his people. My uniform is the same as every other soldier's because I am one of them. I have fought with them. I have suffered with them, and I will never forget where I come from." Carter listened, but he still did not understand. The president stopped near a group of soldiers cleaning their weapons. He knelt beside a young private, helping him fix a jammed rifle. "We all do the same work here," he said to Carter. "No one is too important to help." Carter watched, surprised. In America, he had never seen a president touch a rifle, let alone help clean one. The president led Carter to the training field. "Do you know the story of the lion and the hyena?" Carter shook his head. The president smiled. "The lion is king, not because of his mane or his roar, but because he protects his pride. The hyena laughs at the lion, thinking strength is an appearance. But when danger comes, the lion stands and fights. The hyena runs and hides." Carter was silent. The words hit him hard. The president pointed to a group of young Burkinabé soldiers. "These men and women are the future. They do not fight for medals. They fight for their families, their land, their freedom. My uniform is a promise. I will never ask them to do something I would not do myself." Carter looked at the soldiers. He saw pride, not in clothes, but in their eyes. Training started. Carter was paired with Burkinabé soldiers. They moved fast, worked hard, never complained. Carter tried to keep up. He saw how they helped each other, how they respected their president. During a break, a young soldier said, "You laughed at our president's uniform, but he is our lion. He fights for us." Carter felt a sting of shame. He started to see things differently. The next day, the Americans and Burkinabé soldiers trained together in the hot sun. They ran obstacle courses, crawled under barbed wire, and carried heavy packs. Carter noticed that the Burkinabé soldiers never left anyone behind. If someone fell, two others would help him up. If someone was tired, the group slowed down. Carter was used to competition, but here, teamwork was everything. At lunch, Carter sat with a group of Burkinabé soldiers. They shared their food with him: rice, beans, spicy sauce, and sweet mangoes. They laughed and told stories about their families. One soldier, named Issa, told Carter about his village. "We do not have much, but we have each other." Issa said, "When my father was sick, the whole village helped us. That is how we survive." Carter listened. He realized that these soldiers were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for everyone back home. That afternoon, President Traoré called everyone together. He spoke about courage, about unity, about never giving up. He did not stand on a stage. He stood in the dirt with his soldiers. Carter watched the faces of the Burkinabé soldiers. They listened to every word. Carter thought about his own leaders back home. He wondered if they would ever stand in the dirt with their men. Suddenly, alarms blared. A surprise drill. Soldiers jumped into action. President Traoré did not stand back. He ran with them, crawled through the dirt, shouted orders, helped the slowest man. Carter pushed himself to keep up. The president called out, "Come on, Sergeant, show me what you've got." Carter ran harder. He was tired, but he did not stop. After the drill, Carter was sweating, breathing hard. The president clapped him on the back. "Good job, Sergeant. Now you see, leadership is not about looking important. It is about being there for your people." Carter nodded. He understood now. He saw respect was not about medals or gold. It was about action. That night, Carter sat with the president. They ate a simple meal. They talked about family, about dreams, about peace. Carter said, "Back home, we sometimes forget what leadership really means. Thank you for showing me." The president smiled. "Remember, a true leader serves his people, not the other way around." The next day, Carter joined a patrol with the Burkinabé soldiers. They walked through a small village. Children ran up, waving and laughing. The soldiers handed out water and bread. Carter saw how the villagers greeted President Traoré. They hugged him, called him by his first name, and asked about his mother. Carter was amazed. In America, people never got close to the president. Here, the president was part of the family. Later, Carter helped build a fence around the village school. The president worked beside him, hammering nails and carrying wood. "We all build the future together," the president said. Carter felt sweat running down his face, but he kept working. He realized that real leaders do not just give orders, they work with their people. That evening, there was a small celebration in the village. People danced, played drums, and sang songs. Carter joined in, clapping and laughing. He felt welcome. He felt like he belonged. The president sat with the elders, listening to their stories and advice. Carter saw respect in every handshake, every smile. The next morning, Carter woke up early. He watched the sunrise over the fields. He thought about everything he had seen. He remembered the laughter, the teamwork, the hard work, and the respect. He realized that he had learned more in a few days than in all his years as a soldier. When it was time to leave, Carter shook hands with President Traoré. This time, there was no laughter, only respect. As he boarded the plane, he looked back. He saw President Traoré, standing tall in his simple uniform, surrounded by his soldiers. Carter knew he would never forget this lesson. Back in America, Carter told everyone about President Traoré. He told them how a simple uniform could mean so much. He told them how a leader could be strong without medals or gold. He started to notice the people around him who worked hard every day, who did not wear fancy clothes, but who made a difference in their own quiet way. One day, Carter spoke at a school. The children were excited to meet a real soldier. Carter wore his uniform, but this time, he felt proud for a new reason. He told the children the story of President Traoré. He told them about the lion and the hyena. He told them that true strength comes from helping others, from standing up for what is right, and from never forgetting where you come from. The children listened. They asked, "Why did the president wear a simple uniform?" Carter answered, "He wanted to show his people he was one of them. He was not afraid, because he knew respect comes from your actions, not your clothes." After the talk, a young girl said, "I want to be a leader one day. I want to help people, just like President Traoré." Carter smiled. "You can. Always stand with your people. Be brave. Never forget who you are." Carter's story spread. More people talked about President Traoré and his simple uniform. They saw that true leadership is about service, not about looking important. They began to respect the people around them who worked hard every day, even if they did not wear fancy clothes. Back in Burkina Faso, President Traoré kept leading his people. He faced many challenges, but he never changed his uniform. He always stood with his soldiers, through good times and bad. The people loved him for it. They knew he was a leader they could trust. The lesson of the uniform lived on. It crossed oceans and touched hearts. It reminded people everywhere that respect is not about what you wear, but about what you do. It taught them that laughter can sometimes hide ignorance, but a lesson learned can change a life forever. This is the story of an American soldier, a Burkinabé president, and a simple uniform that taught the world about true leadership. It is a story that reminds us all to look beyond appearances, to respect those who serve, and to always remember that the greatest leaders are those who walk beside their people, not above them. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more lessons from around the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. See you in the next story.